This is a Film Stories original podcast.
We made this.
The truth is in here. This is our special Fight the Future Minute podcast. I'm Kurt North, and you are listening to coverage of minute 41 of the X-Files Fight the Future. This minute begins at 40 minutes as Mulder spots Dr. Alvin Kurtzweil hiding down a dimly lit alley near to his apartment, and ends at 40 minutes 59 with Kurtzweil asking if Mulder knows about the hantavirus. To discuss this minute, I'm joined once again by X-Cast patron Katie Doe. How's everything in the world of Katie Doe? Are we okay?
We're good, yeah. I'm over in Massachusetts, and we're about to get a big snowstorm tomorrow. So,
oh, lovely! So
enjoying the sunshine while it lasts.
So you're expecting, I want to believe, snow like coverage and stuff, or is it just going to be just a gentle snowstorm?
Yeah, hopefully not that bad. A few inches, yeah.
Yeah, I always think whenever snow falls, I straight away think of I want to believe it. I can't help it anymore. It doesn't happen very often up here in the north of the UK, but it's always great when it is. I like to. The little kid in myself always thinks, yeah, I want to be Mulder.
Oh, you need to go out sledding, go build a snowman. You definitely have to go outside.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep. Rather than drive a car off a cliff or anything.
Exactly.
Like
yes.
Fantastic. Okay, so we are here to discuss minute 41. We were here last episode. And we were talking about the kind of the getting into the depths of what Dr. Alvin Kurtzweil's character is, weren't we? We were talking about the book that he was written. It was obviously gynecology and the links with Memento Mori and with likes of the abduction arc and basically the first 5 seasons of the X-Files up until this point. Kurtzweil was involved in this world of the conspiracy, and that he does know some information, but is it something that we can trust? But bear in mind that he's had this smear campaign, the detectives have been there, that we've got these books have now turned into books about the global domination and the conspiracy that's all coming up, and the apocalypse is all here. So this is kind of like getting into the nitty gritty now, isn't it? With the fact that Dr. Kurtzweil is hiding because of all these Washington police officers are in in his apartment, and he's hiding away. He's quite scared that he will be arrested because of this and this massive smear campaign that's coming. So we catch Mulder coming out of the apartment. It's kind of like a dimly lit. It's meant to be like 5 o'clock in the morning at this point. And you mentioned last episode about the scenes being filmed in different places. Was that right?
I did, yeah. So the interior of the apartment was at an apartment building actually in Los Angeles, and then the exterior where we moved to now, it's another location in LA, but it's they're not next to each other as they appear in the film.
You can tell it's kind of like it's dimly lit, and it's it's almost like sunrise is coming, or it's sunset, depending on when they were filming it. That you've got this like blue hue to the actual filming of it, don't you? Really,
you do, yeah. And it was filmed at night. It was a Friday night.
Right.
That the book says, and it says it was a really, really long scene because it was Martin Landau's last night on the film, actually. So right. they could not wrap until they got this done. But he didn't start filming his scenes, the coverage on him, till about 6 o'clock in the morning.
Well, let's talk about Martin Landau for a little bit. I don't know if it has been discussed. You were on the episode with Dr. Kurtzweil when he kind of first appears with Carl, but the Chris Carter says that he wanted to, because he had the opportunity to cast people that he really wanted, and Martin Landau was especially a great like catch for him, and he wrote the part for him. So, and you can tell that in the way that it's been written. But he also says that he was such a trooper on those nights because he saw other actors that wouldn't necessarily last as long as Martin did. That for a man of his age, that staying up to 6 a.m. was really just shows how professional that Martin Landau was.
Yeah, and he didn't start filming his parts until then, so it was a long night of just waiting around. In the book it was 4 pages of dialogue. It says between David Duchovny and Martin Landau, and it just took a really long time to get it. So it's a lot of exposition, as you said before. So
yeah, we said that in the last episode, and this is where it really kicks in, doesn't it? Because we've got up until now, we've just had Mulder finding out about the smear campaign that seems to be going on, but we're really getting to the nitty gritty here, and it's something that I'll talk about in a little bit later on. But if we start with Kurtzweil basically saying, see this crap, someone knows I'm talking to you, and Mulder retorts back, and Kurtzweil's well aware that this is what is it this time, so it gives you the indication that this isn't the first time that they've tried to smear him, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, he mentions several other times that, it could be any the child porn scenario. He said assault on a patient, so it sounds like they've concocted a lot of stories. What
particularly got to me this time was the accusations here that are prescribed to kiddie porn or sexually battered a patient in this apparent smear that Kurtzweil was dealing with. But in real life, it's been simply devastating for a lot of people involved. And we've had here in the UK recently a guy called Carl Beach who had accused many people of being in rape gangs, and this included people in members of parliament and MI5 officers and police officers, and he's accused people of being pedophiles and things like that. And these allegations proved to be a complete fantasy of him. But then listening to people on the radio, I've listened to interviews and things where these people who have been smeared, it affects them so deeply in their lives that it's really difficult to understand how much this can affect someone by doing this and giving these false accusations and things like false rape claims or whatever. You never really know what the truth is with them, and we've got to really tread a really cautious line, because the police here in the UK for that Carl Beach one they were really going out there to try and get these prosecutions, and them themselves weren't guilty of anything. So we've got to be really careful with that. And I think that, looking at this through those sort of eyes is really interesting. Yeah,
I think, you have to treat every claim as, true. This is a serious thing you need to investigate. But if it does turn out to be false, then I think that person probably can't really recover from that, in their job or in their daily life.
Yeah, and it is heartbreaking, because as I say, some of these interviews that I've listened to on the radio and things, it's you're destroying someone's life, and this is obviously done for dramatic effect from the point of Kurtzweil, and using the gynecology aspect of it to really kind of push this agenda. But what I really liked about this scene is that Kurtzweil really bigs himself up, saying because he says, we want to discredit you for what, and he says, because I'm a dangerous man. Yeah. I know too much about the truth. What did you think of that? Because he seemed to almost be a bit bravado at that point. He's kind of putting himself on a pedestal to a degree, that he was involved, and that he's now become the enemy of the state effectively.
Oh, he is. And then when Mulder mentions seeing his books, he says, "Oh, my work." So it's that gives him a little more credibility in his eyes that Mulder mentioned it. Obviously, he doesn't believe him, but he definitely sees himself as high up, possessing the knowledge.
And what did you think to that though, when he actually did say, my work? What did you?
He was very serious. He thought Mulder had read it. And
whenever I've seen this section, I always find this really interesting that there is almost an ego, because he's saying about being a dangerous man because he knows too much. And I don't know if this is how it was written, but when he says, my work, it's almost it's almost validation for him.
Yeah, exactly.
And he smiles as well. The fact that someone's actually listening to me, which I thought was really, really interesting. Yeah,
he comes off as very eager. He kind of drops the pretense. He's like, oh, someone is listening, someone's paying attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And that really struck me, that just the way that came across, because it's such a small, minute moment, but it really comes across and gives Kurtzweil. Landau's was a great actor anyway, so he's able to give you those moments, and you can read so much into it that it really works quite well. And then Mulder quizzes him a bit now, so and this is where we get to the end of this minute. But it was one of those things that, particularly at this section as well, which I don't know if you've got anything on this, that when he starts saying, "Are you familiar with the hantavirus, Agent Mulder?" and that's kind of where the minute ends. But the Mark Snow's score here really kind of sort of gives you that oomph and starts to propel the story forward as well, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. The score is great in this scene.
Right, okay. Have you got anything else that you want to bring to this one?
I did do a little research actually on the hantavirus.
Did you? Right, okay. Well, actually, I think we
do you want to do that in
shall
the next?
Leave that next, yeah, because I've actually done a bit on hantavirus as well. So that'll be a good one to join in to us on the next minute. So for everyone listening, we'll be talking about mice and deer mice in particular next episode, I believe. So that wraps up our latest Fight the Future minute. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks, Katie. We'll be back at minute 42 where we're going to be talking about deer mice, which should be fantastic, and the hantavirus.
Riveting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. But we also need to talk about Kurtzweil's revelations that we start hearing about the hantavirus and the real reason why FEMA were called. So until our next minute, remember, as always, trust no one.
Previously on the We Made This Network. Here lies Amicus.
This is the only time you actually get any sort of grounded history, and a bit more of a background on why he's there.
I mean, it's maybe 5 minutes.
If that.
And then Dick's like, "Oh, I have to go," and you're like, "Where do you have to go, Dick?"
Yeah, science got a science.
He's
got to go sciencing.
And then the grandfather says to Pat, "Oh, I don't think you should see that young man again because the devil comes in many forms." And you're like, "Okay."
How can he tell? He can't even see him.
Observing the Pattern, a Fringe podcast.
Yeah, so at this point we're getting to the dropping the idea of multiple universes, the possibility of travelling from one to another, which
beings that are more advanced, like us, but more advanced.
Yep.
Like in a further point of the timeline. So definitely seeds of things we see later.
Yeah, like we were saying earlier on, it is dropping ideas that are going to come in fully over the next 5 or 10 episodes.
The Giddy Carousel of Pop.
So if you look at that front cover, there is a very obvious choice of somebody who actually should have been the cover. The answer to that is Janet Jackson. The choice I had to make at the time, I suppose there were 3 choices, were Wayne Hussey from The Mission, Margaret Thatcher, which is a whole other ball of wax, which we'll come to, and Janet Jackson. And the reason why this fails is because they used to announce the chart, I think, on a Tuesday morning. And my decision to put Wayne Hussey in the cover would have been all about a bet, if you like, that The Mission would be higher in the chart than Janet Jackson. The magazine's gone to bed, it's at the printers, it's about to come out. And he's counting down the top 40, and The Mission have gone in at, like, I don't know, number 32 or something. I mean, that's bad enough, but I'm now just thinking, we've just got to hope that Janet Jackson hasn't gone in the chart, because he's got to 20 and he hasn't mentioned it yet. 19 and at 18, 17. I thought, please God, And of course, in at number 4 is Janet Jackson.
Check out all of these shows and more on the We Made This podcast network.